This podcast is for informational and educational purposes only. What is up, everybody?
Big Paul here.
Slid in when we weren't looking.
In the back door.
I can only stay for a little bit. I got another podcast I'm doing later, but I figured I'd jump in for a while.
Cool. Yeah, welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Coach's Corner. We got a couple badasses and Tanya and Big Paul joining us today. How's everybody doing? You guys hanging in there all right or what?
Yeah. Good, I was just watching Think Big live stream right before this, so I've just been bodybuilding podcasts all day.
Nice.
Just recovering from the travel.
Yeah.
I bet.
Yeah, how was Detroit?
You know, that was one of the most awesome shows I've ever been to, man. I have to give it to Fuad. What a great production. Lighting was great. The environment was great. Just they definitely made it entertaining and really just high quality production. It's probably one of the best bodybuilding shows I've ever been to.
That's awesome.
That's what I always hear about that show.
Yeah, and for a new show, it's seems to be really get nothing but raving reviews for it. This is what, year 2?
I think third year. I think it's the third year. I mean, for a small show, I mean, it's not very big. I mean, it's in a community center theater. It's like a high school theater. They looked like it was pretty much sold out. I mean, it was packed.
Yeah.
And they had a little vendor hall set up. They had a couple sponsors there. Seth Feroci was there and a couple people, but it was just a great place to see some good competitors and then actually get to interact with the competitors afterwards because talk to Wesley for a bit. It was just anybody gets a chance to go to that show, I'd recommend. I mean, it's not the Arnold, but I mean, what is?
Yeah,
right. It was as far as the smaller shows go, it's the best one I've been to. Tampa was great too. Tampa was great, but it's on par, I'd say, with the Tampa.
Yeah, that's cool. Does it make a big difference where, does it seem to make a big difference where they only got a couple categories? They're able to keep it, the show flowing a little better. I'm sure that plays a role to a point.
Well, they had it's a pro-am, so the amateur part of it was pretty long. It's how it goes with amateur shows. I mean, it's like, they had the amateurs go on in the morning. It was a really good amateur show. Yeah, I was really impressed with the quality of competitors in the amateur show. I've always heard people say that Michigan people get shredded. They weren't fucking lying, man. I think everybody had shredded glutes in bodybuilding, and it's pretty crazy, man. I think the amateurs were more shredded than some of the pros.
Yeah. Well, it was weird. I was watching a lot of the amateur stuff because you guys had your buddy there, Karina was coaching Jeremy, and
Jeremy.
It didn't seem like there was a lot of female competitors. Like I missed something, but there wasn't.
I'll be honest, man. I didn't watch the women.
Yeah, I swear there was like maybe not even 4 wellness girls.
I think they only just introduced females too. Like they only had men's categories previously.
Oh, really?
Usually the female divisions are packed, man. I know here at the DC Pro-Am, I mean that's the biggest divisions are the women's divisions. There's more well, I would say bikini's always packed.
Yeah.
There's always a ton of bikini competitors. Just like, man, there's always a ton of men's physique guys.
Right. Yeah, I was just surprised because that's exactly it. You usually see a ton of bikini competitors and in wellness, and there was barely anything. But like Tanya says, maybe they're just catching on to it now.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't watch that part. I was fucking starved after watching all the amateurs, and Jeremy competed in both bodybuilding and
Classic.
classic. Sorry.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Well, it looked great. I mean, Jackie and I put it on, and one thing that was cool, it was free on YouTube, so to stream it was pretty awesome. Just threw on YouTube. We didn't have to pay for anything, which ain't the end of the world, but they do add up. We pay for quite a few shows, and they're never cheap, and they're never good.
Not only was it free, I saw the quality of it was really fantastic. It was really high quality. The
difference backdrop makes on how well it comes out. You know, the backdrop and the lighting was just, it was so presentable. It was enjoyable. Like everybody, you could see everything on them, I thought, for sure.
Yeah, the GoCo guys were doing all of it. They always do a great job.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, that's good. It was a good show, and I thought Mofuda looked a lot better than he did at the Arnold.
Oh yeah, much improved. Yeah, I thought Elias McCall might have had a chance. I liked his physique better than Blessing, but I can see why they put Blessing in second place. I mean, he is a freak.
Yeah, he has. The only thing I saw when you put up on your story was his improvements from last competition to now, and his midsection does seem like it's getting thick a little bit, and definitely.
I mean, when you're that big, when you're a 300-pound open guy, tends to happen.
Yeah, but it's muscle. It doesn't look like stomach bloat. Like it doesn't look like pH belly. You know what I mean? That everyone calls it.
No, my guess would be he's probably doing heavy compound movements, probably doing squats and deadlifts, and that tends to happen. That's the trade-off when you do that kind of stuff. Definitely would put mass on you, but it puts mass everywhere. Because you got to have. I mean, you don't generally see power lifters with small cores. That you need a big, strong core to move weight around, and I would assume that's probably what was going on there.
Yeah, that's part of why I'm definitely glad I gave up powerlifting no later than I did.
I mean, I think it's good to build that.
For sure.
Piece of strength early on, but
yeah. Well, like we said too, some of those basic compound movements just teaches people intensity too. Like just for the basic intensity and learning how to push yourself in a squat or a deadlift, or even controlling a lot of weight overhead.
Yep.
With the bench press, there's some valuable lessons I took from it, and I think I hung on like everyone else a little too long to the bench press and the deadlifts. But hey, at least I moved on before I learned the hard way too much.
Of any of the big three, that's really what I miss. That's the only one I miss is the bench press. I liked benching.
Yeah, I like benching too. It's my best. I'm a strong presser, or was, not anymore, but
I had like a mental epiphany one day when I enjoyed a lot of deadlifting, and then I realized what I do for work. I'm like, I pick heavy things up off the ground all day long. Why do I care to do this any longer? And it's translatable strength, though. I mean, those things. Jackie and I have had a few clients that come to us in the past that are really green and really fresh, and just overall one of the scenarios where some people just need to just keep putting on mass. They're going to need to spend some years if they want to be competitive in bodybuilding or the female categories that they want to compete in, and they just need to put on mass and learn kind of from the bottom up. And if I can get people to keep to the basics of learning some of these bigger lifts early on when we can do them, and we can teach intensity and get them to eat consistently, I do think there's a way to put on mass through 3 movements pretty effectively if you do it, again, safely in a way that it's going to be productive, because we've all squatted where we're not growing our quads, and then we've all altered our squat patterns where it is beneficial to our quads. So catching those things early on can show you how you can use it as a tool. But I just always thought, I get a guy that's 140 pounds, he's 6 foot flat, he just needs to put on size. I'm going to put some of those bigger movements in when they're young and they're able to do it. I don't know if that's makes much sense to you guys on that end, but it always kind of clicked to me, like, why not?
Yeah, no, I think early on that's fine.
Yeah. So Tanya, how's you're getting close to show day?
Yeah, I'm 3.5 weeks out, and I got a new low today of 123.6.
Wow.
Yeah, that's been about 2 pounds down every week all this month.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
a strong pace for your
And that's
size.
and up until this month, my weight didn't really move.
Yeah.
But I'll
Really?
send you my check-in photos from today if you want those.
How
Yeah,
many
please.
weeks out are you?
3.5.
Oh, okay. Yeah. You a lot of times people will. It's the weight loss, and I've seen a lot of times will pick up at the end.
Yeah, it definitely does for me. Like any diet, honestly, it'll be nothing for the longest time, and then it's like my body notices, oh, weight loss.
Yep.
Yeah.
Let's see that often.
So let's take a look at. We'll pull up your photos here.
Yeah, they're actually in my suit today because I haven't put my
Hey, you
suit
look
on.
great.
Thank you. I haven't put my suit on since the day I unboxed it, so I figured it was probably due for a recheck, and everything seems to be fitting pretty well. So
Legs are getting separated.
Yeah.
And I'm literally pulling a full vacuum with no air in these shots. That is the only way I can make my waist look like that. So that's just what I'm going to have to do. I'm going to have to hold a vacuum until I get to the back pose.
But it looks great. Like that pulled it all together from that little issue you had right here under the belly.
And I also notice that if I'm not completely side on in this quarter turn, if I'm a little shy of it and I'm not quite as side on, it kind of hides that side profile of my lower abdomen and looks better.
Yeah.
You're getting close. It looks like a little bit left on the glute tie-ins, and you'll be there.
Yeah. But this is great quads from the quad sweep from the backside here.
Yeah.
I mean, it's prominent. That's stuff people don't get early on. It's years of lifting and adding size from.
I think you're going to do well.
Thank you. And yeah, that quad sweep was very, very hard fought for. So I'm very proud of those.
You're doing figure?
Yes.
Yeah, you look like you're made for figure.
Thank you. The promoter of the show, and he's also one of the judges, he's a pro judge, was really, really peer pressuring me into also doing physique at this show. But I don't want to do physique. I want to do figure, you know?
Yeah, do figure. No, I think you could if you keep at it, you could be a pro if you want it.
Thank you. I mean, that's the goal for sure. I do I want to ideally I'd love to make it to nationals this season.
They have really nice shape.
A little more glute shelf on this shot would pull it all together. This is great. I actually wanted to show in your story, not giving Jackie a big shout out or anything, but you guys worked together the other day on posing, and this was a great example of showing people how small changes make a big difference.
Yeah.
Because when we're looking here, this was one thing you and her worked on. Instead of having your feet completely 12 o'clock, you open these up to the 10 and 2 she talked to you about. And just the detail that brought out.
Get the more quad. Yep.
And I can see you clean this up with the way you pulled in that vacuum so nicely. I mean, that's excellent.
Yeah, that looks better.
But small details, like sometimes it's just the small foot placement. It is a matter of an inch left, an inch right, trying to get things pulled together.
Yeah, I've always only heard like only turn your feet out like that if you don't have quad sweep, and I had quad sweep, so I'm like, okay, then I won't turn my feet out.
Yeah, but the detail you brought out, and you sacrificed nothing for it. Nothing. And then this here, actually, if you look up in the corner, one thing I remember telling you about, and you guys also worked on, was just getting the hand out of the way of the glute.
Yeah.
But it does multiple things. Not only are you showing the detail from the top of the glute all the way through the side leg, it's much more eye-catching, but now you can actually see with the way that you've opened your arms a little bit, you have a better cap of the shoulder. You seem to have like a little better angle of the bicep and everything pulls together.
I sent you those two so that they're bigger and they're not little.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a big improvement. Yeah, the hand covering the glute is a pet peeve of mine that drives me nuts.
Yeah, same. I've slapped it out of Jackie. Jackie's hand out of the way a million times. It's a habit.
I had experimented back and forth with it, and it just made me feel awkward about the two arms not being symmetrical when I did that. But I agree, it does look better.
Yeah,
it looks way better. Your lines are way better.
It's a lot tougher for me to get that. It's pretty easy for me to get that on that side, but on my left side, it's tough for me to get it back behind the glute like that.
Yeah,
it's very uncomfortable.
And I have slight scoliosis, and I think that has something to do with it too.
Well, the other side of the coin too, right, is some of these figure girls, they don't have some of the womanly, we'll just call it the womanly shape of like the hip, you know, like if you look at like Lola, right? Lola Montez, I think.
I love Lola. Yeah.
She's one of my favorites too. And she's
Mhm.
by far Jackie's favorite figure girl.
Yeah, she's
But when you-
always been one of my favorites.
Yeah, and everything from amazing detail. I'll pull her up here in a second, but the thing with her is she's pretty straight up and down from her lats all the way down past her knees. There's not much of a shape to her hips. And where girls like yourself and Jackie kind of have that, being able to show that femininity in that flow of the shape adds to the attractiveness. The like what catches your eye first. It's just like when you see someone like you see somebody like Andrew Jack, there's just something about that aesthetics that grabs your eye, and he's the first one to catch you. And I think sometimes with women in the figure division, those things are an advantage. And also, let me show you a picture of Lola. And again, I'm critiquing one of the best in the world here.
Yeah.
Let me see here. Bear with me, folks. But right here, this is right before the show, right before the Olympia. And you can see
crazy.
Yeah, crazy physique, amazing detail. But you can kind of see what I mean. If she had a little bit more flair, she would be eliminating the narrowness that she gets knocked for.
Yeah, which I think, I mean, I've seen criticism before, I think, of her not turning her legs out and that it would look better. And I do agree it would give her more of that shape if she twisted her legs out a little bit. Because, I mean, any hourglass shape that I'm creating is all an optical illusion in posing because I'm like SpongeBob. I'm straight up and down. I'm not pear-shaped in any way.
And that's what I'm saying. If you have the ability to hit that in your mandatories and it just shows a little bit more shape and it just makes the taper look better, why wouldn't you use that to your advantage? So you got a lot going for you and it's coming out great in your posing, and you just keep buckling down, get a touch more off that physique with your condition, and you'll be, I mean, really, really good spot. Really good spot.
Yeah.
For sure. It's exciting.
Yeah, so the plan after that, depending on how I do at this show, is either, you know, another regional, possibly. Like we're thinking about Sid Gillen's show in Atlanta because Tyler Mannion judges there.
That's
and
a big
that's at the end
show.
of May. Yeah.
A lot of women do that one.
Yeah, it'll definitely be tough competition for sure at that show.
Absolutely. What's up? Thomas is in the house. A couple other people checking in.
Thanks,
Of course,
Thomas.
our buddy Josh Perry. All right. What about you, Paul? What's new on the agenda for you? I know I caught you this weekend, seeing if we're on a diet yet, but you got one more fun trip to get out of the way.
I am on the seafood diet.
The seafood.
See it, I eat it.
I'm kind of at the point right now. I'm being a little not lazy with my diet, but I'm being so I'm allowing myself to kind of eat things I'm not typical of. Like I've been jonesing for steaks lately, and I've just been doing a bunch of like kind of fillets and had a few ribeyes last week. Stuff I don't typically have. I've been just losing my taste buds for chicken and the basic things that are usually not a problem for me. You can usually eat fish all the time, chicken all the time. I'm just so sick of it. So
yeah, there's a limit on how much chicken you can eat. I really did not eat enough this weekend. I only ate I think Saturday. I only ate twice. That show was a long day.
Tanya King is you're the whitest person he's ever seen. Are you planning on something for like a base coat for ahead of time?
No. I figured. Yeah, I figure they know how to handle ghost white translucent people.
They know how to do it.
Yeah, the big trick I notice with people is just good exfoliating ahead of time. Just good prep work and making sure you don't have like soap residue, like all those things show, like all the little deodorants and all that. Double checking that's important for sure.
Yeah, hunters. And yeah, I can be more translucent because I used to be when I was less healthy.
Yeah, can you get more translucent?
Absolutely.
Hey, I'm in the same boat. My goal is actually not to get as many coats as I can at the show because I just get sticky and it makes it easier for me to sweat and get clammy, and it doesn't go well for me. So Jackie, we got a tanning booth at the house where she's an esthetician, so she'll spray me a couple times for a couple weeks leading up and just get these light coats that build up. So all I got to do is show up in the morning, just get my final coat and step on stage that way, and it feels better. It's like a comfort thing for me too, because you're so sticky, you feel literally like you're mudded up. So that's always a good option if you have the ability to do it. I hate the tan part. Everybody hates that part though.
Yeah, I'm gonna just let them handle that. I don't want to try to mess it up.
No, I don't blame you at all. Let's see. I wanted to ask you guys with the essence of Coach's Corner, I had a bunch of people asking me already a bunch of questions about kind of getting their summer diet together. Everyone's kind of talking about, with the weather starting to change, looking to start getting their summer shredding going. So I was going to actually see with all of us together if we could kind of get a pecking order to give some people some basics on transitioning into a diet. We don't have to talk about it from a show stance, but just kind of summer shreds. How would you kind of approach that for like priorities in scenarios? So like, I know most people, first thing they're going to talk about is, should I be using cleanse? Should I be using this fat burner, this such thing? I kind of wanted to look over it with people and give them a pecking order of what I would do. And I think all of us probably agree, starting with a diet, getting diet in line is the biggest mover, and getting that consistent is probably going to be key number one. And then doing things in tiers. But how do you kind of approach things with Paul for like a first timer of trying to get them leaned out? Or you just attack the diet, see how far that gets you, and then you put in kind of a little bit of cardio, or how do you kind of layer things?
Yeah, well, it depends on how, like, if we're talking about like a total newbie that's never dieted before, main thing I try to do is just get them to clean up the diet and eat whole foods. Just get them to eat, meat and rice and vegetables and start off there. I like having people doing a little bit of cardio right out of the gate. A lot of times I'll hold the fat burners, although lately I've been with regular non-bodybuilders, I have been having them start with a low dose of a GLP-1 just to help with appetite control. Out of the gate. I think that makes things a lot easier for people. It's so weird to me that how controversial the GLP-1s are. Even still, there's still a group of people out there that are anti-GLP-1s. I just don't understand that at this point.
Yeah, me neither. I was actually one of those critics for a while, because I just kind of got in my head, all I had to hear was gut motility issues. And then when I started really kind of looking into and becoming more educated on the topics, a lot of these side effects is no different than anything else we put into play. It's always dose dependent, and people just kind of running these doses too high, too quickly. And I think GLPs have become a perfect example of how to take something excellent and mess it up a little bit and give it a bad name. I just couldn't imagine some of the scenarios and how people get themselves into these 8 milligram scenarios with some of these GLPs. I don't want to name them now. They're all sensitive on YouTube there with names, but the most recent one that starts with an R, as we all know, max dose is what in the clinical trials, Paul? Was it like 12 milligrams?
12 and 8 was the therapeutic dose.
Yeah. I once went over, I got up, the highest was like 2.7 milligrams, 900 micrograms 3 times a week. And I had to force myself to eat.
Yeah, in the clinical trial, the difference in weight loss between 8 and 12 was almost nothing. It was like 12 was kind of the peak effective dose. It was very marginal. It was like only a couple % difference in weight loss, but there was a pretty significant difference in weight loss from 4 to 8. But you got to think that the majority of these people that are in the trials are diet. I mean, they aren't following any kind of structured diet. They aren't lifting weights. They aren't doing anything. Somebody else. Yeah, Josh said the same thing. tirzepatide. I'm on Mounjaro, and it's the starting dose is 2.5, then they go to 5, then it's 7.5 and 12. 12.5 is the top dose on that.
Seems like a lot. I just don't know how you even get yourself there.
I think it might actually be 15 on Mounjaro.
Tanya, have you messed around with any of the GLPs since they've been out yourself, or any of your clients kind of got into them?
No, not myself. I have had a client who came to me on one, titrated off of it with me, was off of it for a while, and then decided to go back on it on her own accord because it solved the digestive issue that we weren't able to solve together because she didn't do the things that I asked her to do to figure it out. But I digress. But other than that, no. I've wanted to maybe try one for the dopamine regulation purposes, kind of the anti-addictive behaviors, because I think that would be really interesting. But my blood sugar always runs like so not low, but like I'm super insulin sensitive. So it's like I feel like I have anything. If I have anything that's going to drive it even lower, I'm going to go hypo an hour after I eat.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
good.
Mounjaro is 15 milligrams is the top prescribed dose.
Wow, and that's a
Wow.
stronger hunger suppressant from what we've anecdotally.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely have going from the R word to being prescribed Mounjaro. I definitely have a more profound appetite suppression. Some other things though, like Mounjaro the tirzepatide doesn't raise my pulse. I don't get that effect.
That's another thing that kind of turns me off of Retta is everybody talks about it bringing up your resting heart rate. And if something brings up my resting heart rate, it really bothers the shit out of me. It gives me anxiety and I can't sleep.
Yep.
Yep. I can say I've been there too, myself.
And also my digestion, I have gotten it in such a good place. I don't want to touch it with anything that could fuck it up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, the gastric emptying has been rough for me at times, like but I came off for a while, then I went back on, and it seems to be okay after I did that. But it's bizarre how it affects cravings though. Like I can still eat carbs, no problem, but I don't want to eat protein.
That's a thing with the client that I was just mentioning. Now that's the struggle right now is I've broken it down to, okay, for your check-in goal, all it is please identify a protein source that you can eat more than 50 grams a day. That's all I want you to do.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Josh makes a good point. A lot of these drugs are not designed for healthy weight people. Yeah, this can be a miracle. Some of these GLPs can definitely be a miracle for some obese people, but I think I agree that I see far too many people that got 5-10 pounds to lose, and they decide inserting X GLP is going to do the trick, which it will, but it's kind of like, that's like what do they say? Bringing a bazooka to a knife fight. It's a little.
It's like people think that they're in a video game now, and it's weight loss mode. All these add-ons and packs. Like, what is this?
Yeah. Well, that brings me back to why when we talk about the summer shredding, it's kind of like, the first thing we need to get in line is the driver of fat loss, which is going to be our energy expenditure deficit or surplus, kind of finding.
If you don't already know what you're eating, that's a problem. We can't start dieting.
Yeah. Very true.
We can't just jump into all of these habits and try to have all of this discipline and consistency all of a sudden and expect that to work.
Yep. Marty makes another good point. The GLP-3 at 1 milligram in blood markers have been decent AF. That's one thing I noticed my first introduction to the R word was my blood panels were excellent. It actually kind of made a dent. My blood sugar has always been something that I've been blessed with. Like it does well on its own. I don't really need much assistance. Even on my high carb days, I don't think I've ever had to do my meal 5 insulin. Like by the time I get towards the end of the day, I'm just fine. I don't have to worry about it. Mm-hmm. But but my cholesterol improved, which is something that I struggle with all the time. Like I'm very sensitive with my cholesterol. It's not an easy fix for me. Paul can tell you it's not a matter of cardio with me. Like I'll do whatever I need to do with cardio and enjoy it, or
Yeah,
diet if I need
mine
to button
genetically
things
runs
down.
high too.
Yeah, and I've had the best blood work I ever had coming out of this last show, somehow using the most gear I've ever run. But all these markers that you'd expect to be far worse, like my HDL wasn't as crushed as I would have expected, and my LDL was actually just basically unaffected. Like it was in a great spot from the last time I had checked it.
You know what I noticed make a really big difference on my lipids, and get my cholesterol down under 200 for maybe the first time in my whole entire life? Red yeast rice CoQ10.
Yeah, they work.
Yeah.
Like really well. And that was on a course with orals.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I mean, red rice yeast extract is essentially just a statin. It's a weak statin.
Yeah.
And they work.
I've been taking it ever since.
Yeah, that's what I do, as well as same thing with CoQ10. That seems to help. And another thing, as much as I hate to do it, is flushing niacin, because I get so hot and flushed from the niacin. I've gotten a little more adapted to it at nighttime, but I take it before bed, hoping to fall asleep before I notice it. But I got to say, for a lot of people I've put that in with, the niacin is still something that works great.
I've never tried it. I've suggested it to a client before, but I've never tried it myself because I hate that flushy feeling. Like that's another thing that'll give me anxiety, is my skin feeling hot. I hate that shit.
Yeah.
You do need to watch niacin if you have blood sugar issues. It can raise your blood sugar.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it can do that, but it doesn't do it on everybody. I think it's just people that are predisposed to issues with blood sugar control. I don't remember the exact mechanisms. Let's see, let me look this up. Let's see, and can increase fasting blood sugar and hemoglobin A1C, potentially worsen glucose, but improves insulin. It can increase insulin resistance. So, yep.
Wow, I did not know that.
Yep.
Tanya, how do you monitor your blood sugar though? What's your method? I mean,
I
imagine you get your blood work done, but how do you go about your
own glucose? I just have the finger prick glucose monitor.
And do you stick to like morning fasted testing, or do you pick certain days, like your certain diet days, or how do you kind of like looking at them?
Honestly, just whenever I'm curious, because it's never really an issue. But I'll just like check it fasted every now and then, just when I'm like, oh, I haven't checked this in a while. I'll like check it just to make sure it's cool. And sometimes if it's like during a diet and I'm on a high day, like I have my 2 high days on the weekend where it's like 200 more carbs, I will occasionally look at it throughout the day, both out of curiosity and to kind of make sure, because I like to make sure it's under 90 before I eat again. And the only day that I think it might not be is on like an extra carb day. So I'll like check it just to make sure. Or if my meals are really close together and I'm like, should I go walk first? I'll check my blood sugar and see. So just usually out of curiosity and just noticing patterns.
Yeah. So you're just rolling with the punches, kind of seeing what it is.
Yeah.
If you need to wait a little bit for your next meal or take a walk.
Yeah. And on that note, like, I keep talking about these post-meal walks, but I have literally watched my blood sugar drop 10 points because I got up and walked around the block for 5 minutes.
Yep.
The old Stan Efferding trick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he was the first person I heard talk about that.
Yeah, so that's what I do. If it's 90 or higher than that, because maybe my meals were too close together or it's a high day or something like that, I go take a walk and I come back. If it's in the 80s, then I can eat. It's that easy.
You know, it's a good to one up that kind of is I have people do I have some people that do stairs just in their house. And for some reason, just that little touch of extra intensity of the stairs for 5 minutes. And I think you really think about it, we're using our biggest mop for glucose, which is our muscle.
You're getting those Glute 4 translocators, sucking that shit right up.
Yep. And then you're using probably our biggest, I imagine our legs, our quads are probably our biggest muscle in our body, right? Other than maybe something in our back. I haven't actually really kind of looked into that. But that's a great mop up for glucose right there. And it doesn't take long. I've seen people that just live in shitty areas for weather that say, well, I can't go for a walk, and they don't really
You
want to
know
walk.
how
the
many
circle from the
times
house.
I've paced back and forth in my house to get steps?
Yeah. Same.
So many times.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. My lawn stays stick free because I'll walk around the lawn if I have to, just for.
I mean, it's easy. Like, I tell clients who like have a hard time getting steps in, like, you gotta like pick stuff up around the house and do daily chores and stuff anyway. Do that right after your meal. Get those steps in, do your chores right after the meal. 2 in 1. It's done. It's so easy. Like, and when my grandma was still alive, like she had diabetes for years, and it was like pulling teeth to get her,
Mhm.
just because she would talk about her blood sugar. Like, it would be so easy for you to just fix this by getting up and taking a walk after your meal.
Yeah.
Could never
I've
get her to
had-
do it. But she'll take this medication and that medication and this doctor and that doctor and this weird thing that costs $80 at GNC. And what about this? What about taking a walk? Couldn't get her
Yeah.
to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've come full circle around not wanting to use metformin or berberine consistently too. Paul really kind of opened my eyes into, I never had any issues with it, but berberine and metformin can give some GI distress just in general. So I could see how if you're running it chronically all the time, probably times when you might not need it, on your low days running metformin, a gram of metformin, you might not need it at all. And it can mess up people's stomach or digestive issues or change their gut biomes. So I've actually walked away from doing that and just running berberine itself on my high days. I'll use Justin's product with troponin, the carb suppressor. And so I'll just use 1 dose a day on my high days and split it up throughout the day. And that seems to do just fine. And I've
And
noticed.
as someone who was misdiagnosed with PCOS and put on metformin, 2 grams of it for like a year and a half.
Oh, wow.
If you're on metformin and you don't need it, it doesn't feel nice.
No. I bet you, unfortunately, I bet you were running to the bathroom 24/7, huh? They're probably giving you gut
for
issues.
a little bit at first. Then it kind of settled down and my gut got used to it. But I didn't notice until I came back off of it how fucking much energy it took away from me.
It does make you lethargic.
Yo, as soon as the first week back in the gym after coming off of it, I'm like, this is what I was supposed to feel like.
Mm.
Yeah, 2000's a spicy dose too.
It sure was.
Yeah.
Especially at your size.
Their thinking was, if we give you enough of it, it'll fix the PCOS enough that your period will come back.
Wow.
I didn't even know they used it for treating PCOS.
They do, because it usually comes with insulin resistance, but they never tested my HbA1c.
Wow.
They didn't know that I was walking around with a 50 fasted blood glucose casually.
Well, yeah, you can't feel good if you're at a 50 blood glucose.
No, I mean, that's what I would be just anyway.
Yeah. So you had really no need for the metformin for
It's
its.
interesting.
Like
It's
it run,
main
yeah,
job.
I'm healthier now, so it runs at a more reasonable range now, but I'll wake up in the 60s and that's just normal for me.
Yeah.
That's
And I'll be
wild,
back
yeah,
I'll be back there after a couple hours after a meal.
It's wild. I just looked it up. 2000 milligrams for PCOS treatment. I'm on 1,000 for diabetes.
Now, don't they prescribe this weight dependent too? Isn't part of metformin and
I mean, all drugs are weight dependent to a certain
Technically,
degree.
yeah. But then there's a
Right.
range and they'll start you at the low end. Like they started me at 500, right? And then it went up to 1,000 and then 1,500 and then 2,000.
Was that the XR or just the regular?
It was a regular, I think. They didn't
Yeah,
have extended release, I don't think.
Yeah, the XR doesn't have all the side effects, but it doesn't seem to work as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's I never been over a gram of it. Never felt the need to. But there was a time I took it for probably 2 years straight. 2 years straight. And I definitely had my digestive issues along with a couple other things I were eating in poor digestion, like food selections and such. But Yeah, that's crazy, Tanya. But I'm surprised they didn't even check underlying things like your A1C, your fasted insulin, just kind of checking how that system's working anyhow. Doesn't seem like you had insulin resistance to even indicate towards PCOS.
The only thing this woman based it on was the fact that I didn't have a period and the fact that I had a ovary ultrasound that showed lots of follicles on my ovaries, not cysts, follicles. They were not cystic. I just had a lot of follicles because it seemed like that's where the cycle was just stopping. So she just looked at that, did not test anything, didn't test my androgens, didn't test my HbA1c, nothing, didn't ask about anything else related to PCOS, and said, oh, it's PCOS, here's metformin.
Wow.
Cool.
What got you to come off of it?
It just wasn't working. Yeah, it's just, I was like, I've always been continuously like trying to learn. And so like I was doing that at that time too. I just didn't know as much. But eventually, I got to know enough. I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. I don't even think this is PCOS. It's clearly not doing what they think it's going to do. So I'm not going to do it no more.
Yeah. Yeah, that's rough. That's a lot to put your GI system through. And it just sucks taking something that's not going to work at all in the long run anyhow.
And she fat shamed me.
Really?
After I told her, because she was like, she basically looked at me and she's like, and also, you're not big, but your weight could contribute. And I'm like, I just got done telling you my life story for 10 minutes, part of which was telling you that I intentionally gained 50 pounds over the past 9 months in an effort to restore my hormones.
Wow.
Were you in the room?
Yeah, paying attention. Now, that was probably your reason for losing your menstrual cycle, was you were dramatically underweight.
Yeah, I over dieted myself for like 3 years straight. I was real lean for like from 2015 to 17.
Wow.
I just like pretty much starved myself that whole time, and I was like training way too much. I legitimately overtrained. Like I am one of the few people that can say I definitely overtrained.
Yeah. I think we've all probably been there to a point, overtraining, and you know it once you know it, for sure.
Hey, Josh said half a Pop-Tart daily. You know what? When I was in high school and I had my first round of eating disorder, I would often have half a Pop-Tart for breakfast, and that would be it for the rest of the day.
Holy crap.
Wow.
Until the end of the night when I had something like vegetables or like spaghetti with nothing on it.
Wow.
I've always been crazy. I just use it for better now.
Now, you didn't even think to try to get in a minimum protein requirement, though.
When I was 15, no. I did not care. I just wanted to be skinny.
Yeah, that could have been a really good drive, a really good lever to pull, is just having that in alone, recovery aspects.
Yeah.
Getting some fats that you're going to, not the best fats, but you're getting some fats in, of course.
Yeah, you had to have had no muscle at that point.
When I was, are we talking about when I was a teenager or this last time I starved myself?
Well, when you were eating no protein, there's no way you could have any muscle.
Oh, yeah, no. And I'm sure that really did a lot of favors for my future hormonal problems, too. Oh, and you know what their solution was then when I was 15 and lost my period because I was starving myself eating half a Pop-Tart a day? Birth control.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
I mean, that's what they throw at everything.
I've experienced nothing more than medical malpractice my whole life.
You and me both. I had to diagnose my own
same
diabetes. They told me for 5 years that I had lupus when I had chronic Lyme disease, a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, that was a crazy one. I can't believe you went that long with Lyme's disease, and that's a miserable thing to be dealing with undiagnosed.
I still have residual side effects from it. My fingers are all fucked up. I have bad arthritis in my hands.
Yeah, I was going to say, does Lyme disease truly go away?
No, not when you've had it chronically.
It's one of those things that just kind of goes into remission, hopefully.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I've had multiple courses of IV antibiotics over the years.
Yeah, being in the landscape field all my life, I've seen some guys go through hell with Lyme disease. It's no fun. I really wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy.
Is ticks the only way to get it?
Yep.
This is the most common, actually. I'd imagine blood transfusion if you're not careful, of course. But,
Possibly.
yeah. Josh got this one right now. Her eating disorders are used for the light side of the force.
Yeah, if you
all
can't
have
beat,
one.
I mean, invite your demons to the table and collaborate.
Yeah, collaborate.
far
Like
as I know,
no prep is ever going to be as bad as anorexia. I promise.
Yeah.
As far as I know, with Lyme, it's only deer ticks. It's a bacteria. It's not a virus.
Gotcha. Yeah,
it's bizarre because it's a bacterial infection and it attacks the central nervous system.
I
really don't know how I didn't get it all these years. I got so lucky. I've had hundreds of ticks on me and somehow never got it.
Yeah, and you're in an area where where you're at, it's really bad there.
Yeah, we got some areas where I live is Ayr, and then Groton's a town over. But there's actually a section of Groton that has a tick sanctuary where they literally warn you we won't be treating this area for ticks, or like, they try to manage it so they stay in that area. But there's signs everywhere warning you about deer ticks. It's insane. We used to mow,
what part of Massachusetts are you from? Are you from Western Massachusetts?
No, it's like central
okay.
Mass. So we're like 45 minutes from Boston on a good traffic day.
Okay, most of my family's from like Western Massachusetts, Northampton, Leeds, Florence, around that area, just like in the sticks. Like no Wi-Fi, no data, sticks.
Yeah,
I'd
my
be
ex-wife,
in the middle of Massachusetts if you saw it on a map, directly in the middle.
My ex-wife was from Western Mass, Holyoke.
Yeah. Been there.
Yeah, I'm more near
up there. I'm jealous you get to live there, Dave. I love it up there.
I love it too. I'm fortunate. It's,
where do you live at?
Who, me?
Alabama. Right?
I'm in fucking Georgia. I don't get to choose where I live. That's what I get for marrying somebody in the military.
Didn't even know you were married.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, we've been married since 2011.
Now, is your husband into fitness? Is he?
Nope, not at all.
No.
Even though, oh my God, he could be a fucking unit if he did.
Yeah.
Like, he has the genetics for it.
Like powerlifting or bodybuilding?
I think he could do great in both. Like, he'd just nonchalantly get jacked and strong as hell, like for no reason for a couple of months, and then just not care.
Yeah. I've known a few people like that.
There's a kid at my gym that's like that. I remember somebody was asking me, is that guy you're talking to a pro bodybuilder? And I'm like, no, he doesn't even take anything. He doesn't compete, nothing. He just looks like that walking around.
Yeah.
I'm like, and I tried talking him into doing bodybuilding. No interest.
Yo, I have tried. I told him, I'm like, man, if you would just let me, I could make you a fucking monster. He doesn't care. He benched over 400 in high school. I was there. We were dating in high school.
That's crazy.
And he just recently told me that like they've been like getting more in shape for like the team shit and stuff that he does or whatever. And he's now benching like 365 or something. And I'm like, did it touch your chest? And he's like, yes. I'm like, all right. Because he's in California right now, so I haven't seen him in almost 2 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's rough. Yeah, that must be rough.
It is what it is.
Well, appreciate him, being a veteran there and helping us all out.
Yeah.
Sounds like a good dude. Yeah, everyone's telling you, coach him up.
He preaching to the choir.
Got our buddy Mark's checking in, South Coast, Mass. Mark's I think he won the 60 plus at the New England's, Paul. He was if you saw him, you'd recognize him. He crushed it in the New England's last year. And I think the year before too. Mark's, you can refresh my memory, but he's a good dude, South Coast, Mass.
I want to get back to New England so bad, and I just want to live there. Like, I want him to get out of the military and we go to New England and live there. And he's
Yeah,
down for it too. So
come up to our place. You're always welcome. We got the nice thing about where I live, Paul could tell you, I'm kind of like I'm fortunate where I'm in a perfect spot where, again, 40
Beautiful.
minutes to get to Boston, but I'm in the suburb area where
yeah,
I'm right on the lake, like right behind this wall. What, 60 feet away is the lake right there. And then there's, just kind of chill history, Lexington near us, Concord, Carlisle, Westford, all of that. So I'm
yeah,
lucky.
that's one of the things that's so cool about New England is like it's so because it's the most populated area. Obviously, it's the oldest part of the country. It's so compact that you can have everything. Like you can live in the countryside, drive 10 minutes, and be in the middle of the city.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
whatever you want.
And the nice thing, I can cross the street, jump on the T of the train, and it brings me right into the TD Garden to go watch a hockey game. I don't even have to drive if I want. It's pretty nice. Studio 182 Digital Pros checking in. Our buddy Eric. What's up, brother?
Guys, I got a jet.
All right, man. We appreciate you popping in, Paul.
Yeah, man.
All right, well, be good, brother. We'll catch you on the next one.
Bye, Paul.
See you. Bye.
Yeah. So, Tanya, what's I've been meaning to ask you, what's your biggest jitters going into this show? I know it's your first one. I know you've helped put people on stage and you've been in this field for a long time, but there's got to be something. You can't be uber confident on everything. There's got to be something in the background that you're willing to admit. I
mean, obviously, just the fact that it's a new experience. It's my first time actually doing it myself. Like, I have a lot of pressure on it because it feels like a debut of sorts because I've been working towards it for such a long time. It's been part of my brand for such a long time. Mostly, I'm not gonna lie, mostly me being able to hold in my waist on stage. Like that's my biggest jitter because I know that that's like my biggest struggle point. So that's probably the biggest jitter that I have. As far as physique wise, I mean, I'm really confident with my physique, especially for this show, for a regional show. Like, I'm really confident in doing well with my physique. I'm pretty confident with my posing, because it's not like I just started trying to pose 6 weeks ago, like a lot of people do in preps.
Yeah. Number one mistake I see all the time. Number one mistake.
Yeah. So, it's just gonna be about composure on stage and just like I think I'll be able to get into a pretty good flow state and be okay. It's not my first time being on a stage. It's not my first time performing in front of people. So it's not my first time having to fake a smile and perform something. Like in high school, I was in Police Explorers, ROTC. I was on the color guard with the band. I did the flags and the rifles and shit. So like I was doing stuff on stage and on fields in front of people that were like performances since I was a teenager. So that doesn't bother me as much as you would think it would. This is just a new way of doing it, and it's presenting something that is way more important to me than any of those things were. And there is a little bit of pressure because I have a surprising amount of people like coming. Like my coach is coming to this one. Like whose coach comes to a regional show, right?
Right.
He's flying from Colorado and coming to the show just because it's been such a big deal. Like I've been with him since 2019 working towards this pretty much.
Yeah.
So he's coming out for it. I have one client in the show with me. He's doing bodybuilding and physique in masters. So he's doing the show with me. And then I have another client who's coming to support me. I have people from work that are coming. I have like a surprising amount of people coming, and that kind of like puts pressure on me a little bit as a professional.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
Right? Because, I've got a client in the show. I have a client coming to support me who I'm coaching. I have like another client who is currently in prep that I'm prepping who's coming to support me, who has competed before. So it's kind of like it feels like I'm proving myself a little bit.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of pressure to kind of uphold my reputation, I think.
Yeah, I
Like
totally get that.
in how I do and how I carry myself, right?
Well, I can tell you that other than the very first show I ever did, the Connecticut, what was it? The East Coast Cup in Connecticut.
Mhm.
That was the only show out of 7 or so I think I've done that I didn't coach somebody or
Mhm.
multiple people. And it's a struggle. So if I can give you any advice for it is if you have your coach there, let him coach you. Don't think
Absolutely.
about not saying don't think about yourself, because actually that's a part that I kind of messed up was I forgot about me and making
Mhm.
sure that I'm doing the things I need to do. But
Mhm.
if you make it clear to your clients, like, I'll be here for you, I'm competing too, and making sure that coach knows, like, hey, I, I got people I need to worry about. I just need you to worry about me. And you
Mhm.
play athlete role when it's your time to play athlete role. It's just like it's too easy to forget about yourself, and that's what I've done. And I've messed up myself
Yeah.
on the
Yeah.
last leg of the the scenario. Friday, and then stepping on Saturday, and just saying, geez, I haven't really been counting my water. I've been paying attention to everyone else. I'm checking the clock for them. Where am I at? And that's a mistake that I made. And I know I could have handled it better. I always took care of my people. We always walk away with medals, which is the beautiful part. So be careful on that aspect. Just have a game plan saying I can handle my client, but I just need to make sure that coach knows, like, grab me when you need to grab me. Can you please just realize I need to be kept in line?
Yeah, and
To
I think that's something that doesn't even require me saying for him. Like I
yeah,
think that's an advantage that like I've had the same coach for such a long time and we
yeah.
both know it. And interestingly, this is going to be the first time we meet in person, which is going to be really fucking cool.
Oh, that's super cool.
Yeah,
That's
like we've
cool.
chatted on video calls and stuff before, but we've never actually gotten to meet in person because he lives in Colorado.
Yeah,
So this will be my first time meeting him in person, so that's really cool. I'm going to pick him up from the airport and everything.
that's
Um,
awesome.
but like he's the calm to my crazy.
Hmm.
Like he's very level-headed and very calming energy, and that's exactly what I need to counter my bees in my head.
Yeah, yep. No,
So that's
I guess
like that'll be
I guess
very
it's like
automatic.
preparedness too. Like that goes
Yeah.
along with preparedness, right? Like it's kind of like you said, making sure that everything's in line ahead of time is just a matter of preparedness. Like a lot of these battles can be fought before show morning.
Yeah, and a
So
lot of
like discussions with coach,
yeah,
making sure you know your role, getting
yeah,
your client prepared so there's less to do in the morning of the show, kind of thing.
yeah. And
Um,
I've become aware and glad about something about myself is that I'm really good at boundaries as far as my energy.
yeah,
Like I have no problem like the whole 2 weeks of the first 2 weeks of April, so 2 weeks out and peak week, I'm not working at the gym. Like I've already
yeah,
given them my availability. I'm not working any shifts. The week of peak week, I have the clients who are scheduled to check in that week. Other than my prep clients, I'm going to have them skip a check-in so
yep,
that I just have less on my plate. Um, like I've been really good at protecting my energy, and I'm going to continue to be that way up until then because like and people might think it's silly because it's like, "Oh, it's just a regional show. Why are you acting like it's the Olympia?" Because I believe that if you wanna be a professional, you should act like a professional.
yeah, yeah,
And I've been working this long to build a career in bodybuilding and be the best competitor that I can be, and I plan to do a lot with this first season. So,
mhm,
I'm going to start that now, not after the first show. Like, why would I goof off the first show, you know?
yeah, absolutely. It's like Jackie says it all the time, and she walks this walk is, don't the old expression, dress for the job you want, not the job you have.
100%. I say that all the time.
Yeah, and it's so true. Like she did that approach herself, and it's done nothing but help her. Like it's been a
Mhm.
prosperous thing, and it made it easy for her to kind of step up the game. Um, her problems that she's had sometimes is like when things are her first go around at something, it can
Mhm.
be just that much more nerve wracking because it's new to you, just
Yeah.
like your experience here with your first show.
Mhm.
So preparedness is why I brought that up, because the more we prepared, the more that we realized, like, hey, we were we're going to be the ones walking on stage. How many times have we put people there and pushed them on stage and guided them along? So it's just a matter of like knowing our role and I think you're going to do fine. It's but I've made the mistake of not protecting my own needs on show morning and giving more than I probably needed to my clients. Not like I don't want to give them the attention. It's there's only so much I can do. There's like, you know, keeping
What
people
I'm-
calm is
What
really
I'm
about it.
really what I'm really thankful for, and what actually makes the coaching a client at the same show a very, very low worry for me is
Yeah.
this client is literally my first ever client. Like
Oh,
he's
really?
been with me for years. Like he also works at the gym. He's active duty military, so he only works on the weekends or whatever. But so like we're very close and we're very similar mindsets, and we're the kind of people that can just talk shit to each other and just like be bros all the time, right?
Yeah.
So we have a very open, no filter relationship. We're just like close friends. So I have no problem being like, hey, I need you to fuck off for a little bit. You know how to compete. Let me know if you need anything. And
Absolutely.
I would have no problem saying that. And he'd be like, all right, cool, fuck off. And he'll give me the finger and
Yeah.
walk away. Like that's just what
Yeah.
we do.
Yeah,
So
some people need that too.
because of that, like we're very comfortable with each other. So there's really not there's not a lot of nervousness surrounded that. I think me and him will do okay.
Yeah. Well, Paul taught me too from a book of Coach K. Do you know the famous coach, Coach K? He was the Duke basketball coach. You might recognize him by,
Tangentially, yeah.
yeah, he's got a weird, I couldn't even say his last name, but
Uh-huh.
yeah, and he coached a lot of the Olympic teams as well for basketball. But anyways, his mindset used to be there's three kinds of athletes. There's ones that you need to coddle a bit more. There's some that you need to come down on in direct force, not forcefully, but you need to be on top of, very much so. And then there's people like, it sounds like you, where it's give me the plan and get out the way. Let me do my
100%.
thing. Especially maybe this guy that you're talking about, he's been there, he's walked the walk. So give him the things he needs, let him know I'm available, and just kind of get out of the way. You know, and then correct what needs to be corrected from an observing point, not from like a leading role. You know,
that's always what it's been like. He's very like straightforward. Just give me the plan and I'll do it. And whether or not he actually does it, that's a different story. And there's a little bit of back and forth. Like, okay, we need to get this done. How can we do this? But he's very like, okay, just like, even it came down to, you know, oh, I can't get my mobility done. Like, if you put a checkbox in my spreadsheet and make me do my mobility and I see those checkboxes, then I'll actually do it. So can you put more checkboxes? Can I have more columns? Can I have more of this? Because he knows if it's actually there on paper, then he feels the pressure to do it and he'll do it. So I'm like, all right.
Yeah. Well said. That works. I'm kind of like that too. You know, more that I have in front of me and I can just line up and knock them down, I'm going to do well that way. One of my clients here, Dave, who is crushing it. You're the man. He mentioned, I heard Dusty Hanshaw talking about how he treats his clients. Every show for every client might be their Olympia. He treats his state/regional folks no different than his national or pro clients.
100%.
And yeah, I mean, yeah, why wouldn't you? I mean, if you think about it, Dave, basically the process is the same. The mindset's the same. The strategy for the pro stepping on stage, other than some details, are pretty much going to be the same. You're all aiming for the same goal. Now, your body changes. There might be a different strategy for Tanya on this first show for nailing her peak compared to it might be on your fifth show, you know, a couple of years down the road. But overall, yeah, mindset and how you prepared them. I never treat people like they're only capable of doing so much. So I'm only going to I try to get as much as I can out of somebody. So if I have someone that needs kind of an aggressive peak the last few days, I'm going to go for it. I'm not going to just say, well, it's their first show. I don't know how they're going to, I'm just going to take what I can get out of it. So I'll lay out the plan as 100% we're aiming for. If we get 90% of it on top, that's the way to go for it, rather than handicapping them for any reason whatsoever.
Yeah, and that's another great thing about working with a coach long term before you even compete is they know how much they can push you. Like I've been through plenty of off seasons and diet phases with my coach, and he knows that he can make me do anything. Like I'm a fucking robot. I'm the dream client. I'm the 100% adherent client. literally. So it's
Yeah.
like he's been pushing me in this prep in ways that he's told me multiple times. I would normally not do this for somebody's first prep. However, I know that you will do it and you will not complain. And if you
Yeah.
do, there's something seriously wrong. It's
Yeah.
like, I
Yeah.
know that I can push you, I can pull you back, and you will do it.
Yeah. And if you're complaining or speaking up, it's something he knows, like, I should be listening here.
Yeah, and it's
You know?
like,
Yeah.
I know if I give you one high day of 2,100 calories and the next high day of 1,800 and the other ones of 1,300, the spreadsheet is gonna come back, and that's exactly what the fuck it says.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, good. The only time I handicap people, and I guess we'll call it handicapping them, or just limit to what I'm willing to try with them, is basically their environment around them. Like, some
Mhm.
people are in a position where they got 3 kids, the fasted cardio is asking too much, but they can
Mhm.
get it done at their 8 o'clock hour when they put the kids to
Mhm.
bed. Some of those things you got to work with. I mean,
Yeah.
it's the environment that they're in.
And that's the biggest
They're
function of a coach, is figuring out how that can work for somebody.
problem solving. Yeah. Karina taught me that a long time ago. She goes, "We're coaches, but we are glorified problem solvers. So get used to it."
Yeah, like,
You
you
know?
don't come to a coach for a perfect protocol. You come to a coach to figure out what your perfect protocol is.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited for you. I can't wait. I haven't had a buddy that's doing their first show I've been so pumped for in a while than yourself. Mark shares his first show here. He said 2023 East Coast Cup was my first show, which I think was one of my first show, or 2022, or it might have been 21. I can't even remember. He decided to do it the day before, needed to break the ice, didn't tell anyone, drove up early in the morning, registered, and did the show and went home.
Couldn't be me. I will never decide last minute to do anything.
Yeah. I could see where I might plan like show 1 and then show 2, and there's something in between I might
Yeah.
want to jump in for if time allows for it. But I haven't had that scenario quite yet. Let's get a couple of quick questions. We get just a few here, and then we'll hop off. I know we both probably got to eat. If I have to eat, I'm sure you do. Let's see here. We got from the Thomas Turner. What recommendations do you have for joint support, nutrition, and supplements? How to best determine a good brand of supplements? So we'll take that as a two-parter. What do you think? Is there anything you kind of approach for when people are having issues with joint, like achy joints, or just kind of pain, or anything you go for? I mean, I know there's the turmerics for anti-inflammatories we can put in for low cost.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's usually the first thing I go for, is something simple like that. Because a lot of the times I fix joint stuff just by improving somebody's training.
Yeah.
But if they still, like, say it's an older person and they still have some joint pain issues, no matter how good they train, things like something anti-inflammatory, like a curcumin supplement, make sure you get it with the black pepper extract in it. I know
Great point.
things like chondroitin, glucosamine, I think those are the 2 that are pretty common for joints. Those help a lot of people.
Yeah.
Just
MSM.
avoid doing stuff like getting cortisone injections, because every time you do that, it breaks the joint down a little bit more and it's actually hurting the problem. Don't try to rely on, NSAIDs, but it's not a
Yeah.
whole lot that's gonna be super, super powerful, but, things like that can help. Maybe sometimes stuff like fish oil can help a little bit.
Yeah, I think so for
Um,
sure. I
some
think you got
people like
to,
some people like collagen.
yeah. I don't like collagen supplements. I was actually going to go towards the route of, you're right. There's probably not one ingredient that's going to be a home run hitter, but you can start layering in tactics with products at the
Yeah.
same time. So, it could be, first thing I'd do is I'd try to investigate further of like, what kind of joint pain are we talking? Is this like, hey, I'm achy because I just did 300 repetitions on a leg day, kind of aches and pains? Or is this like a consistent chronic, like I'm always achy, I always feel bone on bone kind of feeling, I always feel achy and dry? So once I identify the problem, I try to look at, like you say, training. Are we contributing to this joint pain? It could just be a lifting pattern that's just no good for somebody. You see it a lot in like hips. Like I've seen a lot of people like have hip pain, and it's usually something we can fix in a squat pattern or like a hip hinge pattern that's not being done properly. And that's usually going to be your biggest bang for your buck to fix that hip joint pain. But I'm a fan of things that are collagen promoting too. So like putting in, like some gelatin products, or putting in, in diet, putting in stuff that's, you can use stock, with broth stock that's going to help with collagen as well.
Growth hormone.
Growth hormone. There's BPC as well and TB, which will help with the inflammatory aspects of things to kind of help ease the pain. But I think the biggest thing is going to be identify it, see if you can reverse things so you're not compounding and adding to the issue, always putting another penny in the jar kind of scenario.
I can tell you, with my hypermobility, which is a chronic pain issue, it's chronic joint pain, honestly. Growth hormone did more for that than anything ever. I have almost no joint pain now.
You think that's because of the collagen promotion of it, or is it that you get a little bit of a wetter sensation? Hold a little
I think
water?
a little bit of both. Because obviously it's going to help with the collagen production, and I have faulty collagen production because that's what hypermobility is. So I'm sure it helps that. But I think just when most people are getting neuropathy from the extra water retention in the joints, I think it's bringing me up to a healthy baseline. Because I used to get neuropathy from having too much joint laxity. And now I don't, because there's that much extra water in the joints now that it keeps them together enough that it doesn't hurt.
Right. So you might get a little more pressure, but you're probably getting a little more relief.
Yeah, because I literally needed the extra pressure.
Yeah, I got a figure girl that's got a hypermobility disorder as well, and it's tough. Some things like it's weird. We had to learn kind of like pulling motions completely all over again to get them to be like adequate. We can't really like hang from a dead hang from like a pull up. Like we have to make sure we're mindful of these things as well. So that's interesting because I don't come across that very often. I didn't know that you dealt with that.
Yeah, and I've had a surprising number of like consults and things from like just people being referred to me because they have hypermobility, and like people don't know what to do with that because like they heard like me talking about it or whatever. So like, yeah, if you ever have anybody with hypermobility questions, shoot them my way, because apparently that's part of my niche. But there's a lot of really interesting considerations that you would never think are related to hypermobility.
Yeah.
Like basically we're riddled with imbalances if we don't do anything about it, because people think, oh, hypermobile, so you're loose everywhere. Wrong. Half of my body is loose and the other half is unbelievably tight in order to make up for the loose side.
Very good. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So it's a balancing act too. And I've noticed with her a lot of just, again, continuing to learn to work with her on some of her lifting patterns, just kind of eliminates it from the ground up.
Like being strong and having muscle mass is unbelievably important for people with hypermobility. It's not negotiable. It's seriously not, because something has to reinforce the skeleton. If the connective tissue is not, something has to be there to reinforce your skeleton.
Josh makes a good point. Determining your joint's maximum recoverable volume. So just looking at your programming as a whole and seeing, am I doing too much volume because of my age, am I in a deficit where I'm kind of running low on everything? Everything's not as recoverable anyhow. That's a good point, Josh, is just kind of looking at big picture things. That could be a big lever to pull right there.
Yeah, because if you have old man arthritis, which he said, so I can say that, and you're still trying to do heavy compound lifts, it might be time to move over to machines.
Yeah. So let's see. We'll get two more, and then we'll be all done here. Let's see. So Chris asks, Chris Gelbo, 1768, out of an off season. He's out of an off season on cruise. I've been progressing on lifts. Do I keep pushing to beat the logbook if strength allows, or dial it back to maintain logbook to allow some recovery before the next push? I'll quickly jump in on that one. And I would be giving myself a period of time between your off-season push in, let's call it a health phase or just a pullback phase, where that recovery should be accumulating in that phase anyhow, before you get into, let's say, a cut or another push up to add some more size. I wouldn't be stealing progress that can be had on the table to make up for the next phase. The next phase should be where you're accumulating some of those extra recovery points. Does that make sense, kind of where I'm headed with that, Tanya?
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't be interrupting my off-season lifts during a training block to get more recovery for the next phase, which is already going to be hopefully a health phase for this person. You know,
Yeah,
checking your blood, looking at where you're at.
we have to be careful about letting our drugs lead our training.
Yeah, good point. You want to elaborate on that one?
Like, I see a lot of guys especially will kind of have this thought process like, oh, I'm on cycle, so I'm going to push really, really hard. And then they'll get like lazy about it, or like they'll pull back unnecessarily when they're off, and they just expect to not be able to make gains. And it's like, if you can't make gains when you are not using drugs, that's a problem.
Big problem. Yeah. Yeah, and I
You
get a
should
lot
be
of
able to
people.
still make gains. The drugs are just making it happen faster, but you should
Yeah.
still be able to progress not on drugs.
Yeah. Yeah, and just because you're taking a hit on strength, like your general output, because let's say gear did get pulled back and you're moving into a health phase, and let's just say you lose, 5-10% on strength on your pushing days or whatever, that's not abnormal. And that doesn't
No.
mean you're taking a step back. That just means your new top end of your stimulus is 5 and 10% less than what it was on gear.
Yeah, it just means you took out the nitrous, so.
Yeah, exactly.
And, like, a lot
Exactly.
of the times, and, like, so many people have echoed this statement, a lot of the times you get better right after a cycle.
Mhm.
Like, that a little bit of inflammation and, toxic load drops off,
Mhm.
and all of a sudden you, like, are looking and performing and feeling better for, like, a
Mhm.
few weeks afterwards. So, like, don't miss that.
Yeah. And
Like,
I've
you
seen
still you
people.
still and you still have drugs in your system for quite some time. The half-lives are a real thing. You're still gonna be on drugs for weeks after you're not on drugs.
And a lot of people too also, um, just like you say, we kind of mask our recovery while on gear. Like that's also kind of the same thing, like thinking that strength is always going to be the only factor of like progress. Like I've seen people pull back in a health phase, get that toxicity load kind of down, like you say, and maybe get better like digestion where absorption's higher,
Mhm.
even though food volume, calorie output's a little lower, and they
Mhm.
continue to just make progress right through, and they're gaining
Mhm.
on recovery as well. Maybe we can alleviate some other thing that we were pushing hard, whether that's a gear, or that might be maybe cardio, or that might be just time in the gym. Instead of doing 5 days, let's pull back to 4, just get a little extra rest for this health phase. um,
You're definitely gonna
yeah.
start sleeping better when the drugs come down.
Yeah. Yeah, and Chris said also in here that he's out of an off season, headed into a fat loss phase, currently in a cruise. So I'd tell you, just keep pushing for the strength. Like continue to get the same feedback. Like making sure that you're not overtraining, even though that's kind of a rare scenario. But make sure you're not overdoing it, fighting tooth and nail to get 1 pound. There's other ways to
Yeah.
progress. Sometimes you can slow down and gain on your tempo, gain on your form, gain on the quality of your movements. So I'd
Yeah.
get as much as you can out of that push. Cruise into a health phase. Give yourself some time to let that new muscle solidify, as we like to say, and catch your breath for this fat loss phase, which is going to be just as difficult in a different manner.
Yeah, continue to govern your intensity and your recovery the same way you did on the cycle. Just
Mhm.
be okay with it backsliding a little bit, because it probably will. But that doesn't
Yeah.
mean that you're actually backsliding. Just stay at the same intensity level and keep maintaining that.
Yeah. Well said. Well said. Last one here we got from our buddy Gonzo, Rise 41 podcast.
What's up, Gonzo?
What's up, Gonzo? Um, he asked, what is your optimal number of shows you could effectively compete in a year? And how would you structure your year? Off-season, health phase, prep. Do you do 2 shows close together or spread out? Well, I think there's a maximum number of shows you can do in a year. I really don't think doing 2 is kind of top end to a point. 3 might be pushing it, but I guess it does depend on how you're going to put these.
Really quick.
Yeah, but I do think it depends on how you put these things together for structure. So, like, give you a good example. I prefer to have myself and a lot of my guys and gals that we coach competitively for bodybuilding doing something like lining up 2 shows at any phase of the year. Let's just call it fall, right? So let's just say in the fall, we're going to do a show around beginning of October and then another one 4 weeks later in the end of October. That allows you to have, let's say, 4 months, 20 weeks roughly. So if we were to do 2 shows in the fall, you could easily set aside 20 weeks for a prep. And then you got, let's say, show in October 1st, show at the end of October. So you're looking at basically, let's just call it 20 weeks of prep time and then competition time. And then that, that also allows for the 4 weeks between shows. That gives you a good 6+ months to have an off season, uninterrupted, and then you have time for 8 weeks extra within that year's time to have health phases, or maybe, God forbid, there's an injury or a surgery you got to catch up on, or just parts of life. You got to set time aside to go do the yearly trip you and the wife have been planning, or Paul's got to go to Disney to eat some Minnie Mouse McNuggets and ice cream bowls and stuff like that. It saves some time to be human. So I don't like spreading the shows apart because that time spent in between is really not as optimal. Like these off seasons that people put together for 12-week pushes, it's, unless you're saying super lean and you're okay with just adding a 5 pounds difference, and that's not even 5 pounds of muscle. I'm talking 5 to 10 pound difference. That's about all you're going to get. I like having a big rebound, put a couple shows together. If you're going to do multiple shows, group them all together. So maybe someone like we'll just use the fall example. Let's say I do October in the beginning, I do the New England's at the end of October, and that allows me to say, do I want to pull the trigger on like a North Americans or something kind of in the October range, or a national show in Arlington where you're kind of hitting November, December range, or I think that's roughly when they do those shows. And that leaves me a big chunk of time uninterrupted to do off seasons. So that's the way I look at it. What do you think, Tanya?
I would agree. I mean, I don't have a whole lot of anecdote to say, obviously, on that yet. But I mean, I think that the only time it is practical and makes sense for somebody to have such a short period of time in an off season is when they've already built the mass that they have.
Yeah.
Like say it's, I mean, and that most commonly happens with like bikini competitors, right? Like they can afford to compete and compete and compete and compete and compete and then take a short off season because all they have to do is maintain what they have and just make sure that they come in condition.
Yep. Good point. I just like uninterrupted times, like, and I like the thought of not having too little competing. These thoughts of doing 2-year off seasons, I've seen them work for some people, but a lot of that time's not optimal. Like a lot of that time you get lost in the grind of what you're doing. And no, that's not for everybody, but some of the best progress I've had, my clients have been right after a show, whether you call it an aggressive rebound or just reverse dieting, but that time spent when the muscle comes on, when you can fill things out, when you can use diet over gear and over excessive training and pushing numbers. Like mass comes on pretty easy when you're susceptible to, you're insulin sensitive, food's in a good place, you're hungry, you're going to be hungry for 8+ weeks after their show.
I'm always hungry. My appetite never subsides.
So you're going to go from a 9 to like an 11 on the scale. Of hunger, but it's going to stay there for a while. So make use out of it, right? If you're ever, and
how much of that do you think is purely the motivation that they have to be on point and get a lot out of that post-show phase because they're already motivated because they just came out of their show, whereas a lot of people are not good at being the professional that they want to be in a
Mhm.
long off season. That's another
Yeah.
thing. That's another thing I've always been really good at is it's been nothing but an off season for me, right? So like the entire time I've taken it just as seriously, and I've had really, really long gaining phases. Like I've had like a year and a half long gaining phases before I've done a diet before. I've had shorter gaining phases, but the majority of my time has been spent in a gaining phase since I've been
Yeah.
with my coach.
Yeah.
And that's where the majority of the progress is made. If you're not taking that seriously, you're not getting the majority of what you can be getting.
Yeah. Yeah.
And most people
Yeah.
are really bad at taking it seriously for a really long time when they don't have a show in front of them.
Yeah. Very true. And then not only that, like good or bad, you're getting motivation. Whether you didn't get the placing you wanted, you're ready to improve. If you did, you're ready to step up your game to the next level. Yeah, I think that's important. And the one thing I do tell people I get people go, well, how long are you planning this off season? And it's a fair question, but it's a hard one to answer because I'm hoping to get 16 to 20 weeks minimum. And then it's really how accepting is your body to the progress? Like I'm in a scenario right now where I'm over 20 weeks post show and my grow phase is going so well that I'm just going to go week by week and not call it quits until I stop missing the progress. Or
16 weeks sounds like 16 weeks sounds like nothing to me.
yeah, it really
Like
kind of is.
this prep right now, the whole thing is going to be 17 weeks.
Mhm.
And even that, it feels like I just started prep.
Yeah, flies by.
So for me to only do a 16-week off season, like I would feel like I just started eating more if it had only been 16
Yeah.
weeks. Like even this last like gaining phase that I had like was shorter than any that I've had before with my coach. It was like 6 or 7 months.
Mhm.
And that felt like that to me.
Yeah. Yeah, it can, especially when you're locked in,
Yeah.
like we can
It's
get.
just day after, just Groundhog Day in the
Yeah.
best way.
Yeah. I try to tell people we're going to go for as long as your body allows. If that's 35 weeks, cool. I'll take it. And then that's when we can decide, all right, let's get into a health phase. And then other things dictate too. We got to be realistic. There is health, like you can get into an injury or, blood panels can start getting out of line if you're not paying attention, where you got to pump the brakes really quick. The next time you do your blood work, you go, all right, I'm not too happy with this this glucose management that I've been doing. Let's catch it before it's a little too harder to reverse. And obviously the more insulin resistant you get, the gains don't come as easily. So I only tell people we're going to push as long as the body, again, allows is the word. It's not force. Like I can't force your body sometimes to do anything. I'm sure you've been to points in an off season where your body calls it quits on its own, and you're not going to out talk it, out smooth it. You're not going to outwork it. Your body just says enough's enough. And I've been there where 7 months into an off season, your body's like, no more food. We're just done. We're all done for this season.
My body has never rejected food. So
Yeah.
I will say that is not something, I don't think that's something I'll ever experience because I just don't need a lot of food to grow. Like the most I've ever eaten consistently, like sustained, is like 2,700.
Yeah.
And
That's not even half of my carb.
I could comfortably eat twice that every day.
Yeah. You're like
So,
Jackie. She's an endless pit.
but
But I'll tell
like
you,
my coach made a good point to me one time. He's like, that might be an advantage though, because you're never going to get stopped by food intake.
yeah.
And if your body is so willing and ready to store and take in food, that's probably a good thing. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to look at that in a positive light instead of being like, I wish I could eat 3,500 calories. No, I would just get fat if I ate that much. I could never not track in the off season like a lot of bodybuilders do. I would just get fat.
Yeah. And it's not like you can't pull your cheat meal once in a while. Like you can go and have, if you truly are hungry and you want something different, that's why you can utilize these things if you're responsible with them. But yeah, I'm one that has a great appetite, but like last off season, I was doing 1,200 grams of carbs 3 times a week for 7.5, 8 months straight.
That's
Like,
just a matter of physical limit.
Yeah, we literally set the rebound plan high and stuck to it for 8 months. It was rough. And then my low days are 0 carb. For some reason, no matter what time of the year I'm in, I love that. It just gives me that reset and lets my GI truly catch a break. But my medium day, still trying to put down on a medium day 600 grams of carbs when yesterday I had 1,200. It's like, F this. After a while, you get sick of no matter how tasty the cream of rice is these days, you know?
Yeah.
But we're going to call it quits there, Tanya. And I think we held on long enough. I usually try to keep this to an hour. We got 90 minutes in. Not bad.
Heck yeah. I'm just happy to be here.
Same. Gave me something to do tonight. I got actually blood works to look at for like the next 2 days. So I'm going to be swimming in numbers.
May the wind be at your back.
Yes. But everybody, we appreciate you guys watching again. You know the drill. If you watch my episodes here of Coach's Corner and this channel and you don't subscribe, please do. It's a big help for me. And it just gives me more motivation to keep putting out content for everybody. I do have some fun episodes coming up soon that hopefully everybody's going to like. We got a little bit of some 101 basics series I want to put together. So everybody be on the lookout for that. Amy and myself are going to be doing a digestion for bodybuilding 101 from the second you put food in your mouth to how to navigate some of the problems that we come about just with the immense amount of foods. I got a peptide 101 we're going to put together and just kind of clarify what things do and how to utilize them in a smarter manner without just throwing the kitchen sink at everything. And then we just got a lot of nice basic 101 things. I think a lot of people forget. A lot of people forget the basics of these things and they learn how to remember and regurgitate information. They don't remember how they got there and how all these things work in a basic sense. So I'd love to cover that for everybody because I think that'll truly be how we learn. When you learn the system and you learn how something works, you know how to apply the tool. And then Josh Perry did a fantastic job on his favorite topic, putting together a guide on how to navigate trend use a little bit wiser. And I won't get into much details, but he's got a great guide that we're going to go over of how to use it, what to be on the lookout for, where trend's a little bit unique in a sense. I think we can give some people some information on how to use it, when to use it, what's unique about it, and the true dangers mentally and physically, and how to navigate those things and go from there. So that way you can still use it, but not drive yourself crazy and not be doing a gram of tren a week, which will certainly drive you crazy or land you in jail. One or the other. So anyways, everybody have a good night and grip it and rip it. We'll see you on the next one.